We all love our beautifully wrapped Christmas gifts and love to see our tree stacked with these beautiful presents lying underneath it. But the problem is that those wrappings create an awful lot of waste. Mother Earth News, in one of their articles, puts the number in just the US alone, at 8,000 tons of wrapping for just the US, which they say is equivalent to about 50,000 trees. So, it's time to start looking at some greener, more eco-friendly ways to wrap and present our presents. And there's several options for us here. The one way would be to possibly continue to use paper, but maybe look at something that's a more eco-friendly and upcyclable choice. So yes, that doesn't get us around the 50,000 trees, but it does at least make better use of the trees that are being harvested. Now, take for instance something as simple as replacing your traditional wrapping paper with something like a craft paper. The beauty of this is craft paper rolls. You buy them in home centers, craft stores, different departments and stores. They have a lot of uses, and they're actually cheap. A 100-foot roll will go for about $10 to $15, as opposed to what, $4 to $5 or more for just your typical roll of wrapping paper. And while this paper is beautiful, this paper is coated, it has some foil in it. It's not something that's compostable, and it's not something that can see more use in the garden or be reused for another purpose. So a few of the things that I like to do, like I said, I mentioned the craft paper, which in my opinion, I love the old-timey kind of rustic look of that. This is a package wrapped in craft paper that I've decorated with some fabric ribbon and some natural twine. This is the same twine that I would use in my kitchen and my garden. It's made of natural fibers. It can compost. You could also save this for things like tying up your tomato plants, tying house plants if they need to be staked, different purposes like that. Here we have an example of something wrapped in a fabric bag. The bag itself is totally reusable and could last for years. It's also made of natural fibers that are a little more eco-friendly because they'll break down. They don't have a half-life of God knows what on these plastics. Plastic ribbons and bows, those are another high-waste, single-use item that are going to just fill up landfills and take a long time to break down, when you could use something as natural and pretty as a couple of sprigs of cedar like I've done here. Now, it doesn't have to always be about using those sorts of materials. You could look for other ways that you could make your wrapping a little more eco-friendly. For instance, when we're using these pretty boxes like these, do we really need to wrap these up? These are beautiful themselves. So why are we wrapping these and adding another layer of paper and waste to that? There's just no need. Inside the boxes, something I like to do is, if I've got packing paper in good condition that came in, some of the delivery boxes and stuff, flatten that out. That's nice to fold over. If you've got some clothes, I've got some blouses and things in this box. Takes the place of tissue paper. Also helps with my Christmas budget, because I'm reusing something that's free that came to me. It was a byproduct of the shipping, and why go out and buy more just to wrap and fill that box or pad something? I like to take paper from my paper shredder if I need to do something like pad breakables in a box for shipping or for transportation, or just if I feel like it needs that under the tree. Yes, that can get a little messy, but it is a great way to reuse that. Reusable bags, we probably all know this one. How many gift bags do you have? And definitely these are not very eco-friendly in the landfill with all the coatings and printings and kind of plastic overlays. But the fact that you can reuse these for a lot of years really kind of helps overcome that. So, there's lots of ways out there, if we put our minds to it, that we can still have a very beautiful Christmas. And then we can take these, this, like the craft paper, this is a roll. This is actually the same paper that I use in my garden for weed control. When I lay out my rows, I lay this in 25-foot rows. I plant through it, and then this is paper weed control that lasts the season. And then when at the end of the season, it can just break down, be tilled in if you are a person who tills, but it can naturally break down and be there. It cuts a lot of work out because you don't have to go back and pull up plastics and fabrics that I find rip and leave a lot of pieces of plastic in your soil, in your garden, floating around. It's not nice. This is a much more eco-friendly way. So, you know, save up if you have large pieces of this. It doesn't have to be for a full row. You could say use it to mulch around under herbs or flowers in perennial beds, kind of patch it in there and then cover it over with some nice mulch or leaves and stay there. And you've got a much more eco-friendly, natural way of doing things. So, you know, this holiday season and throughout the year, for birthdays, other holidays, whatever you celebrate, maybe just put a little bit more thought into some ways that you can start making steps to reduce your waste during the Christmas season and when you're gift giving. Happy holidays.